John Finnegan uncovered a startling find behind Liam Spencer's bandages, and a terrified Grace Buckingham overheard his developing suspicions, according to the Bold and the Beautiful recap for Monday, July 28. Steffy Forrester discussed how much she would miss Finn while she was away with the kids at the Cliff home. Before they parted ways, Finn and Steffy exchanged a few kisses. Finn's persistent inquiries over Liam's process and Grace's behavior were also brought up throughout the session, but Steffy was confident he would find the truth. Bill made a mistake at the Spencer mansion regarding the money he paid, and Liam eventually discovered that his father had spent $1 million on an uncertain surgery. Bill gave a heartfelt statement and begged for forgiveness because he just cared about Liam's recovery. Prior to Finn's visit, Liam ended up giving Bill a heartfelt embrace. Liam surmised that the outcome was the most crucial factor, but Finn wondered if Grace had any further updates regarding the treatment. Liam also said that Grace was meant to stop by and see how he was doing, and sure enough, Grace showed up around the corner where she could hear him without being seen. Finn had a perplexed expression on his face, as Liam allowed him to examine the wounds beneath his bandages. Finn admitted that he was taken aback by the news, because the incisions were significantly smaller than he had anticipated. Finn muttered about Liam's unbelievable recovery after he revealed that he felt strangely well. Grace, who was nearby, appeared alarmed about the possibility that Finn would learn too much. Taylor Hayes complained about all the Brooke's bedroom attire that Brooke Logan had likely stored in the Forrester design office. She also advised her to save her next seduction act for someone other than Ridge Forrester. Nick Marone joined Brooke after witnessing Taylor storm out, and as Eric Forrester entered, they kissed and talked about Italy. In order to warn Nick to stay away from Naples, Eric finally cornered him by himself, but Nick had other ideas and daydreamed about the amazing time he would have with Brooke. As Italy began a new chapter, Nick grinned to himself. During Monday's B&B show, Taylor planted a kiss on Ridge as if to claim her territory. Ridge questioned Taylor's motivation for the extravagant lip lock, but she pretended that she wanted him to know how much she would miss him. When Steffy got there, she told them she was going out of town for a while. Steffy also thought that Brooke would try to court Ridge on the trip to Italy, but she had faith that he would remain faithful to Taylor. In the end, Brooke saw Ridge bid Taylor farewell with a kiss as they got ready for their flight to Italy with Eric. According to teasers for The Bold and the Beautiful, Italy will be the setting for many romantic surprises, so keep an eye out. Spoilers for The Bold and the Beautiful have suggested that Steffy Forrester and Dr. Finn's marriage was in serious trouble for some time. While Steffy is abroad for Jacqueline McInnes Wood's maternity leave, are the writers going to end Shin? Any husband would tell you that the reddest flag in the world is that Steffy simply left town for some me time, even if her marriage to Finn is in severe jeopardy. After Steffy departs, will Dr. John Finnegan receive divorce papers? Below are spoilers for what will happen next on Bold and Beautiful. It's bad news that Steffy is leaving. B&B previews indicate that Dr. Finn should be quite worried when his wife leaves town to clear her head after packing up the kids. Now that Luna Nozawa is dead and Liam Spencer is cancer-free, shouldn't Steffy be living in a cloud? Shouldn't Steffy want to remain among her loved ones despite having gone through a traumatic experience? Not flee from them? It's beginning to make sense why she wants to leave town after the tearful farewell between Steffy Forrester and Liam Spencer on the CBS soap opera. According to Bold spoilers, Steffy and Liam became too close as he was dying. Finn's wife is reconsidering her relationship choices now that he has a fresh lease on life. Does Steffy dump Finn? Did Steffy desire a steam reunion because she almost lost Liam? Since it was discovered that Luna was Finn's biological father, Shin has been in hot water. It makes sense that Steffy is tired of her husband's long-lost relatives showing up and attempting to murder her. Finn might receive startling divorce news after Steffy does some introspection. The smell of antiseptic and something darker, something raw and metallic, filled the air. Finn sat next to Liam's hospital bed, and the only sound piercing the oppressive quiet was the steady beep of machinery. Thick, clean bandages covered Liam's whole upper body, and his chest rose and fell with hard, faint breaths. Since the accident, a horrible fire that had destroyed Liam's house 2 weeks prior, Finn had hardly left his side. He was fortunate to be alive, according to the officials. However, Finn couldn't get rid of the uneasy feeling. Since waking up 3 days earlier, Liam had not spoken. Sometimes very faintly, His lips moved as though he were whispering to someone Finn couldn't see. The nurses attributed it to trauma. Finn made an effort to believe them. He reassured himself that Liam was simply stunned and would return in due time. But like a parasite, the uneasiness sank deep into his chest. Even in difficult situations, Liam had always been a talker, full of dry humor and sarcasm. It was strange to be silent. Finn had spent the third night in the hospital room, curled up on the visitor's cot, and observing the changes in the wall's shadows. Liam had given him the same book for his birthday, and he had been attempting to read it. "You're too stiff, read something fun for once," Liam had said. But the words kept falling off the page and didn't stick in his head. Around midnight, Finn heard a faint, purposeful rustling sound. He took a seat. Liam was on the go. He was moving purposefully, not just jerking in his sleep. He reached up toward his face with his bandaged hand. As Liam started pulling at the bandages covering his jaw, Finn watched, his breath stuck in his throat. "Liam?" Finn stood up slowly and whispered. The hand stopped in mid-stride. After that, it fell back onto the bed. Liam's lips parted just enough for Finn to hear him whisper, "Don't look," as he moved his head slightly in Finn's direction. "Why?" Finn questioned in a tremulous voice. "What's going on, Liam?" However, Liam remained motionless once more, as though the incident had never occurred. With his heart racing, Finn stood there attempting to process what he had just witnessed. Those two phrases were still in his ears. "Avoid looking." It served as a warning, not a request. When the nurse arrived the following morning to check Liam's vitals, Finn cornered her. "Has anyone seen beneath the dressings?" Her face was unreadable as she looked at Liam. All of stuff was handled by the doctors. He was seriously injured. "I understand," answered Finn. "However, could someone please just be certain that there is nothing wrong?" After a moment of hesitation, the nurse smiled cautiously at him. "He is steady. Leave it to the experts." He wasn't comfortable with that response. Later that day, Finn was once more by himself with Liam. Liam had no relatives remaining, and the hospital had only permitted a small number of visitors because of his condition. The only person that arrived was Finn. He reached out and grasped Liam's hand while seated next to the bed. It was too calm but warm. Liam's constant motion, including tapping his fingers, fidgeting, and drawing on napkins at restaurants, was something Finn missed. Finn whispered, "I don't know if you can hear me, but I need you to return. I must know that you are still inside." His hand was twitching. Finn's heart leaped. "Liam." However, Liam's eyes remained closed. His mouth opened slightly once more, and the whisper was even softer than before. "They're observing." Finn felt his skin crawl. He scanned the room, taking in the shadows, the corners, and the heart monitor's unwavering gaze. "Who's observing?" he inquired. However, there was no response. Only the constant beep. The room seemed to be filled with frigid air. Finn made up his mind that evening. He waited until the late shift nurses had left, until the hallway lights had gone down, until the only noise coming from outside the room was the squeak of wheels on linoleum. Then he closed the curtain over the bed with trembling fingers. "I apologize," he muttered. "I must see." He began by examining the edge of Liam's left arm's bandages. He carefully and slowly peeled them back. Something reddish-black made the gauze sticky and wet when it was removed. When Finn discovered raw, uneven skin, not precisely burned, but twisted, his breath seized. In a way that shouldn't be, the muscle beneath appeared to ripple slightly, as though it were alive. No obvious symptoms of burns were present. Rather, there were veins, dark and thick, pulsing too clearly beneath the flesh, similar to roots in decomposing soil. Finn stepped to the chest and swallowed his nausea. Disfigured skin, ridged in patterns reminiscent of old wood bent by water, was what he observed when he opened the bandages there. A peculiar, round mark, an indentation that appeared too flawless to be natural, was located in the middle of Liam's chest. It had a seal-like appearance. Finn couldn't take his eyes off of it. He ought to have stopped. He should halt. Instinct told him. However, he was unable to. There was something he had to comprehend. He had a need to know his best friend's fate. He reached up and started removing the bandages off Liam's head with shaking hands. About halfway through, Liam's hand suddenly reached up and tightened its excruciating hold around his wrist. Liam's eyes snapped wide and he rasped, "Don't." Finn stopped. Liam had the wrong eyes. Finn briefly believed he saw the irises move, but not in the typical way of eyes, but rather in a swirling pattern akin to smoke, as they had darkened to an almost inky black. "I must know," Finn said. Liam relaxed his hold. His eyes flitted shut once more. Finn paused. He then completed removing the final bandage. Liam's face wasn't the one underneath. Not totally. The cheekbones, jawline, and lips were all present. However, the skin sagged in some areas and was overly stretched in others. Strange scale-like textures on one side of his face glinted dimly in the dim light. Finn could see teeth that were too many and too pointy inside his slightly open lips. The eyes, however, were what troubled him the most. They weren't human when Liam opened them again. From within they radiated a faint glimmer, as though illuminated by an ancient and profound force. Finn staggered back. "What happened to you exactly?" His voice cracked as he asked. Liam took a while to respond. Slowly he sat up, stiff as a puppet being pulled by unseen strings. Finn thought. He said, "I told you not to look." "I had to," said Finn. "What is this? What's going on with you?" Liam flexed his hands and looked down at them. "It's not me. No more. They transformed me." "Who? This was done by whom?" Liam's head snapped around. He seemed to be listening to something Finn couldn't hear as he gazed at the wall, and then the ceiling. "They're in there," he muttered. "They emerged from the conflagration. I believed I could halt it. However, it was too late." Finn's knees struck the ground. "You're frightening me." "You ought to be afraid," Liam remarked. "You ought not to have opened my present." The bandages were being used. In the sense of containment. Like a seal. "You mean something like magic?" "It's not magic. Older than that. Something that communicates through bone and heat." Finn glanced at the door, unsure if he should shout for assistance or run. Who would believe him, though? Legs off the bed, Liam swung them. Unsteady yet upright, he stood. His vitals were no longer being read by the machines, which started beeping in confusion. Alarms began to sound. Finn could hardly hear them. Liam took a step in his direction. He remarked, "I'm not sure how long I can keep it down. But you must assist me if you are present." "How?" Finn stood forward and asked. "They require a gate. A willing one. I didn't want to. However, they remain within me. They are searching for fissures. You must not allow them to leave." Finn's thoughts were racing. What should I do? Liam's eyes seemed to become instantly clearer as he gazed at him. "Locate the mark. Burn it. Before it develops." "What mark?" "You witnessed it. On my chest." Finn recalled the shape of a seal. "However, what if that causes you pain?" Liam responded, "It will. But they'll find someone else if you don't." The room's lights flickered. The air was filled with a faint vibrating hum. "They're aware that you saw," Liam remarked. "You must go. Right now." Finn remained still. He moved forward and took hold of Liam's shoulders. "I won't abandon you. You must. Please." The door exploded. Doctors and nurses descended in droves, shouting and raising their alarms. As they attempted to pull Liam back into bed, Finn was shoved aside. However, it was too late. Liam fell, trembling uncontrollably. The screens went blank. Liam's eyes, which were blazing, searing, and inhuman, and his mouth moving with a final message were the last things Finn saw before being dragged from the room. Set the mark on fire. Chaos ruled behind Finn as he stood shakily in the hallway. His fingers closed around the lighter he usually carried, a souvenir of their first road trip, and he reached into his pocket. He had no idea what the future held, but he was aware of one thing.